Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Cowboys Takeover. I'm your host, Jason Kent. With me, as always, the esteemed Mr. Aaron James. Aaron, how we doing this week?
Doing good, man. Yeah, no complaints. This week has actually gone by fast. I don't know. Do you feel like it's moving along?
I've been going into work every day, so it feels really slow now. I haven't been doing the twice home a week. Yeah, so it's kind of tough now. It gets a little longer now, but it's not going to last long. But yeah, it's been a drag. But it's for a good cause. It's for a good reason. Your boy's moving up, so you got to do what you got to do. Promotions are always good. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So, other than that, it's been a very solid week. A little nervous about this week's upcoming matchup. I know when we did our preseason predictions, this was a game I really saw, coming into this week. I thought we were going to have two 2-0 teams. When you look at Baltimore offensively, you'd think, yeah, they're probably a 2-0 team. You look at Dallas offensively, you think, yeah, this isn't the team we signed up for. It's not the team. It's definitely not the quarterback play that we had last year. But when you look at both of these teams, man, we're coming in to week 3. I don't know if you can really call it a must-win game in week 3. But when you're the Baltimore Ravens, you're 0-2. And your Cowboys, you looked bad last week. You're 1-1. And you really don't want to drop to 1-2 in a very, very good and competitive NFC. So going into this week, just looking at Baltimore, when you've and I know we both went over kind of looking at some tape, just going over the stats as well. What do you think Baltimore's struggles have really been this year? Can't hear you, boss. You might be muted again.
There you go. Thanks, buddy. So the first game against KC, basically, they come within inches of finishing that off. That's gonna be a tough matchup. Trying to go into KC against Pat Mahomes, and it's game 1 of the season. Of course you want to come out with a win, but you're coming against the best team in the league. And then I went back and I watched the Raiders game. Now they gave up basically a 10-point lead in the fourth quarter. Like the Henry is averaging 4.2 yards a carry with 31 carries, but Lamar is next in line for rushing attempts at 21, 167 yards. I mean, to me, that spells a problem. When he has 21 carries over 2 games, averaging 8 yards a carry, that just means the pocket is collapsing too much. And these guys just haven't hit their stride from a team that Harbaugh to me is a premier coach in the league. Seems to always have his guys ready to go. So they're not really clicking. I mean, I think Zay Flowers is having his flashes, but outside of that, likely is actually doing quite well. Andrews hasn't had as many targets as years past. I think he's a little banged up, but yeah, man, I mean, ultimately, starting off 0-2, they're projected to be in the NFC Championship game again.
Yeah,
they're hurting for a win.
No, they really are. And when I look at it, I was in 1,000% agreement with you. When I looked at the stats and I saw, Lamar has 21 carries and Derek has 31. Like, I know what Lamar, I think we all have seen in the past what Lamar does on the ground, but I also think we've also seen it not really be successful long term. Yes, it can win you the MVP, but when it comes time in the playoffs, you've seen him struggle with it. And you really thought the addition. I know, myself, I was very upset when I saw them sign Derrick Henry because that's somebody who I really wanted Dallas to go after and get. I thought they could really get Derrick Henry, even if it's on a 1-year deal, but he's somebody that could have solidified our backfield and really taken some pressure off of Dak. And you've seen him do a little bit of that for Lamar, like you said. He's averaging 4.2 yards a carry. He hasn't had that 25 carry game, which I'm still shocked at. You'd think if you're Baltimore, you'd want to see him carry more and Lamar less. The 10
Hmm.
difference I think is pretty big. Um, but when you look at the team Baltimore, it's not their offense that's the problem. And that's when you look at it, they outplayed both of their teams. They've played against the Raiders and against Kansas City. They had more first downs, they had more yardage. They're number one in offense. It really seems like timely plays. The Baltimore KC game, it felt like it could go either way. Against Oakland, there were some kind of plays where you weren't sure. They shouldn't have let that game up, but they're really the defense kind of gives up big plays when it's time, which isn't likely or really big of Baltimore. They're usually defense. So to see
Yeah.
it kind of completely switched in the offense really be great. The defense not so much there yet is shocking, especially when they went out and got Roquan Smith, who is a premier middle linebacker in this league. But I too, when you look at it, man, likely is their second receiver on the team. But he had a big week one where he had 9 catches for I think it was like over 100 yards, and he only has 11 on the season. So really, Zay Flowers has kind of shown flashes. He's only averaging 64 yards a game. So you don't really still worry about Lamar throwing. And like you mentioned, Mark Andrews, he has done a lot of blocking. I know that was the big thing after that Thursday night game, week one, where he was in the backfield blocking a lot, and they used likely more. But I'm really worried that the thing that Baltimore's really done best is really what Dallas has struggled with. Lamar's averaging 8 yards a carry, which I'm not as worried because we have that fast defense that can fly around.
Yep.
Um, but Derek looks good. He's averaging 4.2. He's still pounding the rock. He's over 100 yards a game, and he hasn't really had that 25 carry game. So it could be Baltimore kind of holding out, maybe not using him as much early in the season. But it's really, last week they had a lot of penalties. So that's what really, they had 11 penalties last week. Where was it? 11 penalties for 109 yards. When you look at them, they had 151 rushing yards, 232 passing yards. They had over 100 more total yards than them. They averaged over a yard per play. Their turnovers aren't there. So it's really like stupid mental mistakes and untimely defense is really what's done Baltimore in, because they're the number one offense in the league. Now when you switch over to Dallas, we kind of looked at Baltimore. When you look at Dallas, the Dallas struggles, I think, have been offensively. Last week was that terrible defense. I think they kind of blew it, but I've been very disappointed. I think post game last week, or for last game, I really harped on Dak, but I think those are struggles I didn't expect as much.
Hmm.
I had said multiple times that I thought Dak could be an MVP candidate, would win the MVP, would throw for 45 to 5,000 yards. I think I predicted multiple times over 5,000. And I predicted CD to really have a big season. I predicted him to go get close to the catches and yardage mark. So I think that's been to me the biggest struggle is your offense. They don't have that consistency yet down with CD. It doesn't look like, and Dak just doesn't look comfortable. You see him missing some things. It just doesn't look great. It's been very hit and miss. They haven't been able to get a run game really going. So, when those D linemen know they can just pin their earbacks and go, and the defense DBs know you're passing it makes it a little bit more tough. I kind of still bought into the hype when I said Dak was going to throw for 5,000 yards. Because I've seen him do it so often against these, in the regular season. But to me, that's been the biggest struggle for Dallas, I think, is getting that offense going and being consistent.
Hmm. Yeah, they just haven't seemed to find a rhythm really in either of the two games. I think it was really scary what we put on tape against the Saints, and the Ravens, I think, are going to try to simulate the same recipe that the Saints put out there to see if we, in fact, are going to make any improvements. I think a lot of what I heard from Zimmer and the players is that it came down to technique, um, and the Saints players, their O line in particular, being first to the punch. So we're going to see if any of that, if any of the coaching of reviewing the tape is going to make a difference. I think it's gonna tell us a lot about the players as well as the coaches. Now, even with the best coaching and schemes and uh, all the improvements you can make in a particular game, trying to stop Derrick Henry is going to be tough. Either
Yes,
way, I still have Henry getting over 100 yards. But I do think our run defense in particular, will look better because
I
of the
know,
attention
man.
to detail that's going into this game.
I'm very worried.
Yeah.
I'm very worried, as I was when I was reviewing the schedule. Like, I didn't expect Baltimore to be 0-2, but when you look at it, Derrick Henry definitely looks like he has some tread on that tires left. And the one
Mhm.
problem is, if he gets going, yes, Lamar, he can move and do his things, but if you get that run game going, especially with a DB like Diggs who tends to bite, man, Zay Flowers can take the top off that defense.
Mhm.
And we haven't seen Mark Andrews really destroy it. So that's what I don't know if Dallas can really contain it. They're going to have to do it early, but you can't come out and give up, you know, touchdown after touchdown. I think that's a big problem. You have to have that defense improve. Their run defense just isn't there. I don't know what you can do to fix it. The only thing I know offensively, if you start the score early, you gotta put together. Last week you can't go touchdown and field goal. You can't do it. But you have to also put together some drives and encourage your defense. If you're going out there and you're giving up field goal, you're just kicking field goals or interceptions, your defense is definitely dejected. And it,
Mhm.
it kind of looked like that last week. They just getting pushed around. So I just think this is a very big game for both sides. Both teams have something to prove. I don't think either one of these teams are out of it yet. Baltimore, if they lose, it's bigger. What was the percentage? I think you said last week it was something like 8% of teams make playoffs after going 0-2. I don't
Yeah, I
know the
think it's
stat after.
closer. Yeah, I think it's closer to 11.
Okay, but yeah, and after going 0-3, you can't. It's really tough. When you look at Dallas, you don't want to go out down 1-2. It's not as impossible. You are in a little bit of an easier division. The Eagles did. When you look at them last week, they got a game this week up against the Saints. So it's not early in the season. You could still make up for it. So when you look at this game on both sides, who do you think really needs this game more? Who needs to show up and really get that win?
Oh man. Well, it's tough. I think we both had Cowboys losing this game,
Yeah, we
coming
did.
in coming in to the season. But if we would have known that Baltimore was 0-2 without knowing anything else, man, we'd be like, well, they're not the same team. But now
Yeah.
we seem more worried about the game, that the fact that they're 0-2. Um,
And we do. It is. And we're because, yeah, we do. It's
when it
definitely
should
a
be the
little
other way
more.
around, we should be more confident, right? With the fact that they're 0-2. Um, so I mean, I think given their division and especially that conference, AFC is pretty stacked. I think they're more stacked than the NFC this year. Um, I think they need the game more. Uh, but obviously, right, as a Cowboys fan, um, we're at risk of our three last home games coming up with L's. And, that we can't really allow that to happen at the same time.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. When I look at it, as a Cowboys fan, you want to say Cowboys. When you look at it, going 0-3 in the NFL, it's tough to come
Mhm.
back from. Baltimore has a team. When you look at their team overall, they're better. Like I think they're more suited to make a run than Dallas is. Just because I do think their defense at the end of the day, they're a little more. They don't have the weaknesses that Dallas has. They outplayed. There's some mistakes that they can clean up. So but I do think, yeah, Baltimore, I think they're a better team, but you can't go 0-3 in the NFL. I think it is a bigger game for Baltimore. And I think the reason I'm so worried is because when you look at Baltimore, both of those games, it's not like Dallas where you're like, okay, you beat up on an injured Cleveland team. Last week, they just got punched in the face.
Yeah.
Baltimore really they could be 2-0 right now. So they're coming in really pissed off. It's not like they're 2-0 coming in just relaxing. Okay, we're rolling these guys. We should be 2-0 and we're 0-2. So that's what really has me worried that they're just going to really pound Henry this week. Because knowing that Dallas defense, coming up big is in the run defensive is not Dallas's game. So I really think that's going to be a recipe for disaster for Dallas, I think, is kind of because what they're looking at. And I agree.
Yeah.
I'm much more worried now than I would have been if both teams going 2-0. It's not as big of a deal, and I'd have more confidence that Dallas, even if Baltimore is 2-0 and Dallas is 1-1, I still wouldn't be because they're coming in lax. I'd be like, oh, okay, they're playing soft, but no, they want to come in and punch us in the face. I guarantee it.
Yeah, and Harbaugh is that old school X's and O's guy, and he's going to stick to his game plan, and historically he's a run first guy, and I think he's going to be like, what, we're going to attack the run until they can stop us because we need this win and we can't be turning the ball over. We can't, have Micah ruin this game. And one way to take that out of Micah's hands, we're just going to run it and see if you can stop it.
I agree. I really think that's what they're at this point. You kind of have to, especially when you're a team with a premier running back.
Mm-hmm.
Because even if Derek wasn't there, I'm not as worried about Lamar because I'd look at guys like Overshawn, Micah, that you can really, maybe not spy, but kind of contain him. He's going to make his, but with Derek there, I think it's a whole different animal. So really winding down now. I know both of us had this at a loss. Coming in that, looking at it now, 2 weeks in, they're 0-2. We're 1-1. Prediction time. Has your analysis of your thoughts of this game changed in the win column?
I'm gonna say no because I'm gonna use my brain over my heart this week. Now, I will say Madden has the Cowboys winning 37-31.
Really?
Yeah.
Yo, Madden. This is the first time Madden's been against either one of us.
So I wouldn't be surprised if we win. Of course, I'd be thrilled. I don't feel as much pressure because the Eagles came out with an ugly L on Monday, and it looks like they're going to get another one on Sunday. So keeping up with the Eagles for the division feels like it's going to be different this year. It's going to be closer, I think, than we anticipated.
Definitely could.
So I don't feel the pressure from that aspect. But I'm going to go with my head. The more talented team doesn't always win, but they should win. So I'm going to say Baltimore comes out on top. I do have total points, under 50. I got a 24-23 game. Baltimore wins.
Okay. I can dig it. 24-23. That means a lot of field goals for my man Aubrey. Hopefully there's a couple 60-yarders in there, so I'm okay with that. I also do have Baltimore going. I'm sorry, Madden. We're this week we're both against Madden. But again, just logically thinking, they are better. Their strength is our weakness. And Baltimore's always a team that knows how to get after the quarterback. And Dallas is right now struggling to run the ball. So it's really I think it's going to be a tough game. I don't see it turn. I don't have it as close as you do. I think it's over 50 points. I do think I'm going to go closer to 34-24 Baltimore. I'm going to say Derrick Henry. I'm going to give him. Let's go. I'm going to say $145 and 2 tutters. And he has,
Wow.
I think he has a big day. I would take the over on 145 too, if that was my like. If the over under, I think I would go over. I think they carry him this week. I think this is the week where you really see him get that 20 plus carries and really drive home late in that game.
Oh, well, I think, not all L's are created equal. I think we would be optimistic so long as we didn't give up, a touchdown in every single drive that they come away with, right? We need to see as fans overall improvement as the unit on the defense as well as offense.
Agreed. I think this week it's tough to have moral victories, but I really think if you
Yeah.
don't let them punch you in the mouth, Baltimore come out and just punch you in the mouth that run game. If you can try to contain him, listen, and we could be completely wrong, and Baltimore could come out and Dallas could just shut them down. Like I do think they're talented enough to do that, but I really think it's going to be tough. But they're both very good teams. I don't know. Dallas at some point has to grow up. They're big dudes on the offensive line. They got to figure out a run game. So I think it's going to be a great matchup. And the good thing is going into it, the Eagles will already have played. I don't know. I don't know if that they'll even pay attention, but like at least on the fan side, there's a little more rooting interest. You kind of know, okay, we need this one. But listen, I hope we're both wrong.
Yes.
I hope we're both wrong. Do we have any of the stats today? Are we doing any of the stats over unders?
I don't have the stats, unfortunately.
Okay. But so let's go. I'm going to give you one. So if you were to go, because I said 145, but I think you're going to think that's high. So if we go Derrick Henry, do you think he has plus 115? We'll go 115 and a half. Are you going over under?
I'm going over.
Okay, yeah. Let's go. What about 130?
I would probably go under.
Okay. So between 115, 130. That's still a lot of yards.
Yeah.
So we're going Zay Flowers, 95 yards receiving.
I think he has one big play. So I'm going to say over.
Okay. Let's go Dak Prescott, 265.
I think he's going to have to throw it a lot, especially if it's a high-scoring game. But they're not going to be – I don't think they're going to be able to run. So, yeah, I'm going to go over.
And then the last one will go. Because I always like, two teams, kind of big defenses last year. I know fantasy ranks both of these defenses pretty high. Let's go defensive touchdown. We'll go half a touchdown. We going over or under?
For the Cowboys?
For the game. Just for the game, for either side.
Oh, for the game?
We're going,
I'd say over.
I agree. I do think one side gets it. I do think there's one of the teams. I think it's going to be Dallas. But I think they're going to try to make a play. One of the teams is going to have to try to make a play late, and there's going to be a defensive score. If they get after Lamar, if you could get Overshawn and Kendricks blitzing and maybe hit some gaps and get Lamar, you can force some turnovers. I think when you look at it now, listen, we both have the Cowboys losing. You really hope you see some improvement from last week. You don't want to see Dallas come out and get punched in the face. You got to see some improvement from Dak. So it's tough. It's a tough weekend, guys. It really is. It's a weekend. I think we also looked at it. If you're being realistic with yourself, thought this could be a loss early in the season. We both predicted it. But this game is a little more meaningful now. With you kind of getting blown out last week and the way you looked last week. You really have to rebound if you're the Cowboys. You really got to come out, punch Baltimore in the mouth. You really want to try to knock out Henry. I know you don't want to knock players out in games anymore. I know it's frowned upon, but this is football. You want somebody to come in and just pop him in his mouth from the opening drive, because know that what he's coming out to do to us. He's coming out to run over this team. So I want to see this Dallas defense this week. I really need to see them come out and punch Baltimore right in the mouth from the opening drive, offensively and defensively. I know we're not going to run the ball. We've shown that. Dak, I need you to be better. I need you and CD to get your connection back. We need that this week. If we have a shot to win, if we're going to have a shot to win, Dak and CD, I need 10 plus catches. I need a big week. I need a dominant week. I need to show last week you had one big play and you had 65-yard touchdown and 90 yards for the game. You guys, there's something missing here, and it has to come. You both got paid. Come out and show up. Micah, show us why you deserve to get paid, whether it's here or somewhere else. Come out this week. This is what we need.
Absolutely. Thanks, Captain America. I think the fact that we got punched in the mouth last week improves our chances of that upset this Sunday. So I'm hopeful.
I'm hopeful too. I don't think, listen, a 10-point victory is pretty big. Most games are decided by a touchdown. So I predicted it. But, I'm not shocked. I wouldn't be shocked, but I just don't think it's in the cards. That's just my humble opinion. But that's it for today, gentlemen and ladies and gentlemen. We really appreciate everyone. Appreciate that came out today during the stream to check us out. Again, we really appreciate it. We just enjoy talking Cowboys. We'd be doing this whether it's on here or just texting back and forth, discussing kind of this season and how it unfolds. And we've been doing it for a while. So we just really appreciate just being able to do it on here, having you guys listen and check us out. You can check us out on, the Ring the Bell Podcast Network. Appreciate each and every one of you. If you're watching us there, give us a like, give us a subscribe. If you are still on the Cowboys Takeover Podcast YouTube, give us a like, give us a subscribe. I know we got some on Chris's Twitter. Appreciate all of you guys for coming out and checking us out. I'm sure you guys, on the Ring the Bell Podcast Network, I'm sure you're all about that. Check us out on Spotify. And we are still getting it on our Facebook page, Ring the Cowboys Takeover Facebook. We are getting it there as well. So you can check us out. That's not live, but it is posted up pretty after. So we really appreciate, just check us out. Like us, subscribe any of the networks. We just really appreciate it. We thank each and every one of you. For Mr. Aaron James, I'm Jason. We really appreciate it. We both hope we're wrong, but we both have an L this week. It's tough. But we will see you Sunday or Monday to discuss the game, to break it down. Hopefully there's a big win. If not, we'll still be here. Appreciate you. Love you, Cowboys. Let's go. We enjoy you fans. Love you guys as well. We'll be back with post-game coverage. Enjoy your weekend. Let's go, Cowboys.